Hello everyone, I am Harshal Patil and we are here to discuss the questions that we have shared with you on various platforms. So let's begin. The question is, what are the key differences between parliamentary system in India and the presidential system in the USA? Simple question, straightforward. It comes from the syllabus point directly. That is the comparison of constitutional scheme of India with other countries. Okay, here they are asking us to compare the political system, that is parliamentary system and presidential system in India and USA. Very straightforward question. The keywords are key differences, okay, and parliamentary system, presidential system in USA. Okay, now here in introduction you can write some basic idea of the political system that are present in the world, that parliamentary system of governance in India and presidential system in USA have distinct democratic framework. As we know that India has adopted British model of parliamentary system for its flexibility and accountability, while USA has developed presidential system to ensure clear separation of power and avoid executive overreach. So in this manner, however, the differences are there. Both are democracies. In their own way, they are ensuring there are fundamental rights, there is democracy, there is rule of law and all those things. So even though the systems are different, their ultimate goals are same. One is the oldest democracy, one is the largest democracy in the world. Okay, and on that line also you can introduce this question, that India is the largest democracy in the world, USA is the oldest democracy in the world, and they both have different political systems. India adopted the parliamentary system for its accountability and flexibility. USA adopted the presidential system for its separation of power and avoid executive overreach. Okay, so from that point of view, what is the difference in India's parliamentary system and USA's legislative system? So you can see the first, executive legislative relationship. Okay, when it comes to India, we know that executive is part of the legislature. Prime Minister and Council of Ministers are chosen from the majority party or coalition in Lok Sabha, and they are collectively responsible to Parliament in general and Lok Sabha in particular. Okay, so example, government may fall if it loses the no confidence motion in Lok Sabha. Okay, at the same time USA, there is a complete separation of executive and legislature. President and their cabinet are not members of Congress and cannot be removed by the Congress except through impeachment. Okay, so that is the first difference between parliamentary and presidential form of government, that is executive legislative relationship. Okay, next is head of the state. We know that in India, though there is a dual polity, the head of the state is different and head of the government is different. That is, the president is head of the state and PM is head of the government. At the same time, in USA, there is a single leadership. In India, there is a dual leadership, president, prime minister. In USA, de facto, de jure and everything, there is a single leadership. The head of the state and head of the government is the same person. There is no difference. Next point is the method of election. Okay, in India, in parliamentary form of government, the head of the government or the government is indirectly elected. Prime minister is indirectly elected, and even president is elected by the electoral college of MPs and state legislature, which is also indirect election. While in USA, there is a directly elected president. So when it comes to parliamentary system, there is an indirectly elected prime minister. Okay, then in USA, there is a directly elected president. Next is stability of the government. In India, government may fall anytime. There is less stability. We have chosen accountability over stability. So we have given preference to accountability. So there is a more stability, as it may lose support at any time in Lok Sabha. The members can change their mind and they can remove the support of the executive. At the same time, USA president serves the fixed tenure unless impeached, ensuring the stability. As there is a separation of power, the president does not come from the legislative branch of the government. There is no issue of stability. Okay, so it is a stable government. They can it is helpful when it comes to efficiency of the governance. While in the parliamentary democracy, we see that even in UK, even in India, there are major political instability events where governments collapse overnight and political instability ensues. Okay. At the same time, next point is separation of power. We know that separation of power is also a basic feature or the feature of Indian polity also. However, separation of power in Indian parliamentary system and separation of power in US presidential political system is different. In USA, we know that there is a complete separation of power. There is a compartmentalization of power. There is a judiciary, there is executive, there is legislation, there is a total separation of power, and it leads to judicial supremacy. While in India, there is no strict separation of power. Executive is member of legislature. Minister actively participate in parliamentary proceedings and law making and policy. They are also members of legislature also. They are also member of executive. So there is no strict separation of power. Okay. So here, rather than judicial or parliamentary supremacy, India has constitutional supremacy. Constitutional supremacy. Next point is checks and balances. In India, as it is a derivative point of the separation of power, in India, checks and balances exist, but they are relatively weaker compared to USA, where checks and balances are strong. That is why we say there is a separation of power in USA that is very tight, and that is why we say there is a judicial supremacy in USA. Okay. Next, flexibility and rigidity. In India, we are known for our more flexible system. A change in leadership is possible at any time without an election. Okay. When ruling party changes however, in USA, presidential system is rigid. Leadership change requires impeachment or end of the president's fixed tenure. Okay. So that is the thing. These are the 6-7 points you can write in the 10 marker, and also at the end of the question you can also mention, though there are systems are different, both systems have their own strengths and weaknesses. Both countries have adopted the form of government that is suitable to them, that is suitable to their conditions, their requirement. Okay, their context, their whole political scenario, the type of culture, society, history that country has. From that, these political systems evolve. However, in India, we have, while constitution makers, there were fundamental principles of the polity already present in the world. Indian constitution makers have taken those fundamental principles and they have molded those fundamental principles according to the need of Indian scenario. Okay, so every principle is modified. Even Indian parliamentary system that we adopted from Britain is not similar to Britain. Okay, so you can mention those things into the conclusion. Okay. Okay. The question is, what is the concept of uniform civil code? Then the UCC in India discuss the relevance of a secular state and the challenges to its implementation in India. Now, very straightforward question. I don't think there is a issue when it comes to understanding the demand of the question. The demand is asking us that what is the concept of uniform civil code? What is uniform civil code? And discuss its relevance in India and challenges. Now, sometimes this may happen UPSC. Sometimes if you go back to 2020-21 UPSC mains papers, you will find some questions where there are only 10 marker questions. The pages given are only 2 pages, but there will be 3 body parts. So you have to manage the space, even if you know a large quantity of data regarding that question, you have to manage the time and space. So here you can see there are three different body parts, but the question is asked only for 150 words, 10 marks. Okay, so you have to ensure the space management in such questions. So question is asking about the UCC. Now as it is a 10 marker question, we can include what is UCC in introduction and introduction part only. So what is UCC? It is a legal proposal in India. What is its aim? The aim is to establish the common set of law in governing personal matters. We know that in India, the criminal code or the criminal laws are common for everyone. That we know that CRPC and IPC are there. Irrespective of your religion, your criminal activities will be dealt with by the same laws. However, considering we are a secular state, there is no uniform civil law. So, however, and also what you can mention in the introduction is Article 44, that Indian Constitution in DPSPs in Article 44 mentions that government should strive to implement the UCC as and when the conditions arise. Okay, so what is the UCC? That is the common set of laws governing personal matters. What are the personal matters? Marriage, divorce, inheritance and adoption for all citizens irrespective of their religion. So as already told you, UCC has its roots in Article 44 in the directive principles of state policy, which encourages the state to strive for implementation of uniform civil code. We know that it is a what? Liberal principle of liberal DPSP. We know DPSPs are of three types: the socialist DPSPs, the Gandhian DPSPs, and the liberal DPSPs. It is one of the liberal DPSPs that has been included in India's constitution. Okay, now what is its relevance or the importance? It ensures or it focuses on equality before law. Okay, that the UCC ensures equal treatment of all citizens irrespective of their personal law matters, their religion, their gender, their caste, all those things. Okay, so all citizens, in whether they are having different personal laws, they will be treated equally, eliminating the discriminatory practices that are different in various religions. Okay, at the same time, the most important relevance of UCC, that is the gender justice and women rights. We know that almost in every religion, as it progresses over the time, women have been given secondary role. Their activities are limited. Okay, what UCC or the secular UCC tries to do is to liberate the women, giving equal status to women irrespective of what the religion says about the women. So gender justice and women rights is the one of the most important significance of the implementing UCC. So UCC promotes gender equality in personal matters, addressing the discrimination faced by women under certain religious law. For example, Shah Bano case, all of us are aware of it. Okay, so for example, gender justice, it is said that in India almost 60-70% work is done by women, only 10% wages are earned by women, and only 1 to 2% property is inherited by women. Okay, so this discrimination has to end. For that matter, say in inheritance, most of the women and girls do not inherit the property from their parents, because every religion has their own way of giving inheritance to their children. So if there are common laws, we can ensure that the inheritance laws, the divorce laws, the family laws, the adoption laws become common for everyone. It also will ensure that the principle of secularism is fulfilled, and through this there will be national integration. It will ensure that there is a protection of fundamental right, that it aligns with the personal law that infringe on the individual's rights. Okay. Next is the challenges to implement UCC. The most important challenges, as sometimes it drives or it attracts the political slugfest. However, the challenges, that is, even Indian Constitution promotes religious diversity and cultural sensitivities. That Indian Constitution does not want the homogenization of everyone. Indian Constitution wants to maintain everyone to their own unique identities. It wants them to protect their identities, their cultural practices, everything. That is why we have right to religious freedom, article 25, 26, 27, all those articles promote religious freedom also. So India's pluralistic society may perceive UCC as an imposition on religious freedom. Okay, different community have their own different practices, and there is a possibility there will be resistance. Okay, at the same time, political and religious resistance is also there. Particularly minority communities have this fear that in the name of UCC there is a possibility that majority's cultural practices will become norm under the garb of secular politics. So it becomes very important that the political consensus is built on the matter of UCC, so that everybody is taken in the consultation and everybody's own identity is protected, and the uniform civil code becomes secular civil code. Okay, at the same time, risk of discriminatory practices, then complexity of personal laws. Every religion in its own way has very complex versions of their own personal laws. Every religion has various sects have their own practices. Even there is no uniformity in even one religion. Even Hindu religions have many sects and all the traditions. Even Hinduism is different in South India, North India, East, West India. Muslims have their own sects within them. So even other minority religions also have their own internal differences also, internal own practices also. So from that point of view, even the religions are not homogeneous in themselves. So it will become challenge to encompass all these diversity. It is a challenging task. At the same time, next is obviously considering the political realities in India, as religion is one of the most significant ground, or it is the most significant identity around which the identity politics is carried out in India. So to implement the UCC, the political will is required, and it is not about the political will of the government of the time. It is also the political will of the various parties to come together at a single table to discuss all these things, that how we can proceed with these things. So political will of everyone, the government, the opposition, and all political parties to come together to find a solution, to engage with the various stakeholders and alleviate the any reservations and questions and confusions that are surrounding the UCC. Okay, next is legal and constitutional hurdles. As we know that in India, almost every legislative or executive decision is challenged in the Supreme Court. Okay, so these legal battles that UCC outline under Article 44 and its conflict, or its with Article 25, there will be court cases. Those will the actual implementation in spirit will be delayed with these judicial hurdles. At the same time, judicial and legal concerns need to be alleviated. Okay, so when it comes to conclusion, what can we say all the recommendations that we have already discussed, those recommendations we can mention. As it is a 10 marker question, you will have very good data, but the question is कि इमोशनल नहीं होना है क्वेश्चन में. हमारे पास 2 ही पेजेस होंगे 10 मार्कर लिखने के लिए, तो यू हैव टू बी वेरी प्रिसाइज. यू हैव टू इट इज लाइक अ फुल टॉस क्वेश्चन. सो इन एग्जाम, व्हेन इन एग्जाम एनवायरमेंट व्हाट हैपेंस इज कि आसान क्वेश्चन दिख गया, मन में लड्डू फूट जाता है, और जितना मालूम है वो सारा लिखने की कोशिश करते हैं. जहां पर आसान क्वेश्चन में हमें टाइम बचाना है, वहां टाइम हम वेस्ट कर देते हैं. वहां तो कोई सभी स्टूडेंट्स को ये कोई क्वेश्चन आसान है, तो होता क्या है कि हमें आसान लग रहा है तो ज्यादा मार्क, 1 मार्क बढ़ाने के चक्कर में 4-5 मिनट ज्यादा क्वेश्चन लिख देते हैं. टाइम मैनेजमेंट फेल हो जाता है, और कोई कॉम्पिटिटिव एडवांटेज भी नहीं है. ये क्वेश्चन सभी को आसान है, सभी ने प्रिपेयर किया है. तो यहाँ पर एक चीज ध्यान में होनी चाहिए, आंसर क्रिस्प वे में लिखना है, टू द पॉइंट लिखना है. और 7 मिनट हमारे पास है तो 5 मिनट में ही लिख देना है, 2 मिनट सेव करने हैं, क्योंकि ये आसान क्वेश्चन है, सभी के लिए ही आसान क्वेश्चन है. तो ये सारी चीजें आपको आंसर लिखते वक्त ध्यान में रखनी है. ओके, ठीक है.